Hello and welcome to my video of my demonstration of how to create your own Terraform provider for Infrahub. So let's go ahead and let's see. My whole demonstration right now is based upon the blog post I wrote a few days ago. It treats every single detail in here. We'll be skipping the publishing in the registry, which is step 3 and 4 here. We just create our own Terraform provider and see how we can use it with Infrahub. So I already booted up my own instance of Infrahub. As you know, it has its own schema, so it will be different for every single one, which also generates the problem that not one Terraform provider will function for every Infrahub instance. So that's why we need to generate it. Let's go ahead and go to step 1, which is that we need to create our own Terraform provider repository, which you can read here. It is mandatory that it starts with Terraform provider. After that, we can choose the name ourselves. So we go ahead. I just name it first steps because it's the first time I'm doing this. And let that generate. As a next step, I'll be cloning this repository and I'll start working on it. So I go ahead and I'll just quickly go and clone this, and then I'll open it in the IDE of choice of mine, which is VS Code in this case. So as we can see here, we got all our boilerplate code, which will generate our own provider. We have this cool GQL folder here with a short README explaining how it works. So what we are doing is we have to create our provider using GQL queries, which defines what we want, the type of data we want, and the type of data we want to read or we want to read write on. So here I'll be going in ahead and opening the Infrahub sandbox, the Infrahub instance with this GQL sandbox. Here we can just try GraphQL. I got a little query here just to show how it works. So we define something as an Infrahub device, and then we query it based on the name value, which we supply on the bottom here, which is the input value. We'll be doing the same with the Infrahub provider. This is just some backend stuff, but just to show now I can query it real easy. And this is the information we get back, and this is also the information that our Terraform will need to treat. So if I start randomly deleting things out here, it won't be in the provider, which is totally fine. Here you can define the things you need. So I'll just quickly go ahead and create that for me. I'll be creating a few demo files and we can go over them. So what I did here is, for example, this is the same query as I had. I supply the device and it gives me some information back, such as the ID, the name, the role of the device, whatever. I can also do other types of queries where I can just query it, oh, give me all the devices I want. I can give them I can create a resource, which is read-write. So I can tell it, oh, I want to create a device, please create it in Infrahub for me. Or I can also tell them, I have this device in Infrahub, please update the following attributes for me. Okay. So next up, we will have to supply the URL of the Infrahub instance, which we can see here. We already did this step. We created our GraphQL queries. Now we supply the Infrahub instance, which is to pull the schema from Infrahub, so we can check if we actually supplied a valid GraphQL query or if we didn't. In the case if we didn't, it will fail, or the build will fail and we won't be able to have a Terraform provider. So now I just go ahead and build all this stuff. It will create all the Go files we need that that Terraform uses in the backend. So if we go into the internal folders, we can see it generated some Go code, but you don't need to be bothered by this. This is everything we need. Now our Terraform provider is already working. We can use it locally. We have documentation for it, luckily. We can go into each of our resources and data sources and check what is actually in there. So here in my device resource, which is read write, I need to provide it a name value, like the name, and then I can arbitrarily set all of these attributes. I can give it an ASN node ID, I can give it a description, whatever. I don't need to do this. If I don't do it, it will just generate, it will take whatever is in there, or it will generate some default value based upon your instance. Same thing with, I have an IP address value, I can query it and I can get the following things back. And that's pretty much it. Now you can start writing your Terraform files, which I can show how an example of this would look like. It would be pretty simple. We would go ahead, we would put the registry URL of our Infrahub provider there. We would put our version. We would go ahead, put the API key of our Infrahub instance, put the URL, the branch we're working on, and then we can just go ahead and have some examples. We can query all devices and then use the output for something. We can go ahead in this example, for example, we can query a few things and we can say, oh yeah, create me 100 devices, and that's the way it works. And so from here we're ready to go. We already created all we need for our Infrahub, for our Terraform provider, and we can start using Infrahub immediately.